On today's episode, we're going to be talking about how hot is too hot for dogs.
Welcome to The Woofy Show, the ultimate dog lover's digest. Meet your hosts, Brian and Magda, two dog lovers ready to help you be the best dog parent, unravel the mysteries of canine behavior, and keep you updated on the latest trends in the dog world. This podcast has something for everyone. Get ready for heartwarming stories, expert advice, and a lot of laughs.
So right now here in Alberta, Canada, where our studio is, we are having a massive heat wave. So we thought this would be a great time to talk about the hot weather and dogs, and more specifically what temperatures are unsafe for dogs, and then physical traits that kind of can make your dog feel a lot hotter than say other dogs, and pretty much just other factors that go,
safety things have to be safe during hot weather.
Pretty much exactly that. It's so hot here. I can't even think right now.
Yeah.
It's pretty crazy. It's hot for us. I bet you if any of you live in the south
Thankfully,
of the US,
our studio is in a basement, so we kind of keep it cool here. But
I guess we'll start off by talking about what temperature is too hot for dogs.
Well, first of all, it's important for people to understand that a human normal standard temperature is between 36 to 37 degrees. That's what's considered standard.
Yes. Is that Celsius or?
Celsius. Okay. I don't know in Fahrenheit. Yeah.
So as we all know, we're in Canada. For all of you Americans, please just do the conversion.
If your body temperature is higher than 37, you probably have a bit of a fever.
Okay.
Right? Yeah. But dogs' internal body temperature is actually 2 degrees higher than a human one.
Oh, so they're at 39 or whatever?
Yeah, 38, 37.
Yeah.
Degrees.
Sure.
Yeah. No, 38 to 39.
Okay, that's what I said. So I was like, why are you going down?
I know. My brain isn't working. I'm telling you, it's hot.
It's 35.
So 38 to 39-ish. Okay. That's what's their kind of normal body temperature. Wow. So what that means is that dogs actually experience the ambient temperature a lot hotter than we do.
Okay.
So that also means that if it's too hot for us, it's most likely definitely too hot for them.
Yeah. And I mean, we'll get into that about signs and all that, and you'll see it. It's clear as day. And if you don't see it, then just shame on you.
You always say that. Shame on you.
I know.
But anyway, when it comes to generally speaking, temperature-wise, temperatures usually in 90s, which is around 32 Celsius, is when it's too hot for most dogs to be outside for a prolonged amount of time. Yeah. It can lead to, heat strokes, heat exhaustion, and things like that.
That's too hot for me to be out for prolonged periods of time.
I mean, today it was 33, right? And it's just like, oh my God, I feel like I can't breathe.
The car said 36.
Did it?
Yeah, but that's just sitting in the sun all day, so.
Yeah, see, that's the difference.
Yeah,
okay.
Anyway,
there's a lot of mitigating factors to this.
You listen to this in the winter. Yeah. Well, why are you listening about heat in the winter? But yeah, it's summer.
Yeah. And also, so the 90s is when most dogs are just like, nope, not having it. It's too hot for me. But in mid 80s Fahrenheit, which is around 26.
Oh, yeah, 25,
Celsius.
80 is 25. I know that from, anyway, don't have to get into why I know that.
Yeah, so some dogs might find it a little bit difficult to tolerate this kind of temperature. Yeah.
Okay.
But it also depends, right? Because for our dog,
and
for instance.
Before you go in the comments and be like, I live in Arizona or Texas and it's 110 degrees and my dog's fine. There are factors that play into this, which we'll get into. So don't come at us.
We will get into that next.
Bring your dog to Canada when it's minus 40, and then we'll see.
Yeah. So there's a lot of factors that play into that, which we can actually go into now. Yeah.
So just to list off a few. So one of the kind of factors are the physical traits of your dog or dogs in general. So flat-faced dogs, so like pugs and bulldogs, obviously. They struggle a lot more in the
difficulty
heat. And a lot of people know that. They have trouble with breathing and all of that, which I think when it's really hot.
And panting as well, I think, right? So
that's kind of that's one of the physical traits. Another one is age. So like puppies kind of under the age of 6 months, and then senior dogs are a lot more kind of
prone to overheating.
prone to overheating, or it's too dangerous for them. And the thing is, just like humans, to be perfectly honest,
Yeah,
babies
like a
you shouldn't
baby.
have in the ridiculously hot sun. Just like an old person shouldn't be like directly in the sun with a tank top on. At
Their body's just not in the prime,
at the
right?
beach, yeah.
They can't
No.
deal
They're
with
still-
it as well as an adult dog would.
Another one is like a long coat or like double coated dog. Now this doesn't mean that like they get hotter. I mean, obviously they have a lot of insulation, but their double coat and long coat actually helps protect them from the heat. So please never, ever, ever shave your double coated dog in the summer if it's too hot, because it's worse for them to do that. So, but yes, they do struggle a lot more in the heat. Actually, just really funny. I know someone who has a Chihuahua and a miniature or a min pin, and her dogs love the sun. They will literally follow the sun like that's shining through the windows. So I remember she showed me a picture, and there was like one sunny spot left on the deck, and that's where the dog was lying. But Maple's the complete opposite.
Yeah.
She will follow the shade.
Well, like if you think about it, these small dogs, like Malteses, for instance, they were bred in those kind of countries, Chihuahuas as well, right?
Yeah, so it's just it's
they're
funny that we
kind
say
of
that,
like meant to endure and love the sun, whereas like our Maple, it's above 20 degrees Celsius, and she's like, nope.
And so that story was about the whole double coated, because Maple's double coated, and she follows the shade where a dog that's just
shade
hair
everywhere.
or
It's
whatever.
actually pretty funny when we went on a road trip to like Arizona and stuff. And she was always in the shade, always looking
she
for the
found
rocks.
like under the rocks that were sticking out, and like we were pretty much in the desert, so fair enough. Poor thing. It was October too, so it wasn't even that hot. Well, it was.
No,
but
it was like above 20, right? And she's like, no, too hot for me.
So anyway, that was just a quick sidetrack thing of just talking about double coated and like how they like the shade. Another one is the size. So like larger breeds or giant breeds, same thing. They struggle a lot more in the heat because they're bigger. It takes a lot. There's a lot more to
cool down.
To cool down, of course, to regulate that temperature. Another one is an obese dog. Obviously, because their body is working harder to do everything else that they need to do.
Well, also like obese people, right? If you're obese, your body temperature is naturally higher, right? Because your heart is working harder.
And then it's a lot harder to cool you down because your body's already, like you said, it's overworking trying to do everything else. Your daily stuff. So please don't get your dog overweight at that point. And then kind of the last one is just general like health problems or diseases. Obviously obesity is a disease. It's definitely a health problem. That kind of falls into that window of things.
Well, like other things, if your dog has had an injury or, they're just not feeling well, they're having some stomach issues or whatever, then it's also like one of those factors that you should take into account whether it is a good idea to take my dog out today.
And it doesn't mean like health problems that exist their whole lives. Say you were out swimming all day the day before and they're just exhausted the second day. Don't be taking them out because they're already so tired to begin with, and now their body's also having to work to regulate the heat. It's just like us. And then so that's kind of like the physical traits umbrella of the dogs. Another one is the humidity. It's not the heat, it's the humidity.
Yeah, humidity
as everybody
says. Is that how you say it? Humidity?
Humidity, yeah. It's just like a human thing when people complain about the weather, and it's like, it's not the heat that will get you, it's the humidity. I don't know. If you know what I'm talking about, let us know in the comments. It's just silly. It's from movies and stuff. You're just like, what's going on?
I'm so confused, but that's okay.
It's just American television.
I just know humidity is a big thing because... 30 degrees here in Calgary, where it's dry climate, is completely different to what a 30-degree weather is in UK when it's humid, right?
Yeah, of course. It's wet.
like you experience it different. I feel like it feels hotter when it's more humid.
Of course.
Personally.
Well, it's the same with the cold, having that cold weather. Like it was the same thing. It feels colder.
Coldness is a lot easier to handle than wet coldness.
Imagine minus 40 in England. No. Anyway, this is not about cold, but I'm just saying.
Everything would freeze.
Yeah, everything would freeze because it's like a wet climate. Anyway, so humidity definitely plays a part in it. And this is more kind of depending on where you live. So these factors are what part of the world you live in. And then the last one is whether or not the dogs are used to it, whether they're acclimatized or not. Were they born in Texas and raised in Texas? Were they born in Yukon, Alaska? Were they born in Scotland? Wherever, like Malta for Maltese, those things, Mexico, Chihuahua, like that kind of stuff. Were they bred in a specific climate?
And I grew up there and just became acclimatized to the condition, right? It's a lot easier for that dog to handle the hotness.
So those are some of the factors. There's an interesting kind of graphic that we found, which I will show right here. If you're not watching this on YouTube, then check it out on YouTube. But it kind of just shows kind of the different levels.
These mitigating factors that go into play. So what the graph will show is it's pretty good actually, because it has the Fahrenheit and the Celsius amount right next to each other, and then it breaks it down into the small, medium, and large breeds, and what is kind of the risk level.
Yeah, it's like a number scale of like the higher the number, the more they are at
risk.
And
then it has these mitigating factors right next to it, where you either add or deduct.
Subtract. Or deduct, same thing.
A level of risk, right?
Based on some of these factors.
Like do you have water or shade? If you have shade, but it's 30 degrees, then the risk factor is a little less rather than if it was 30 degrees and you're in the sunshine, right? So it's these things that play into the role. So it's kind of put in the idea of not such a black and white answer into black and white answer.
But it's like a guideline. It's like a guide, because I mean, we've shown it. So we've looked at it and we're just like, I don't know, the heat, like they want to say like, oh, according to this, Maple should be at 21 degrees. But then when we think about it, it's like, if it's like 25, she's like, I hate this. And then it goes into the cold weather as well. And we can go right to the bottom of it. It's like, really? It's a risk factor of 5 if it's minus 18? I was like, Maple sleeps in the snow at like minus 30. What are you talking about? So again, it is a guideline, and these are some of the factors.
Take it with a pinch of salt, right?
And same thing. Don't come at us if you are be like, oh, my dog
There's a lot of mitigating
I have a golden
factors.
retriever and I'm in Arizona in the desert and blah, blah, blah. Awesome. Good for you. Again, bring them to the winter.
Yeah. What we're trying to like basically say is like, don't be stupid, right?
Yeah.
Like it's that there are a time and a place to take your dog out. And if it's silly hot outside, just don't do it.
So those are some of the factors. So I guess we'll kind of get into like the signs that showcase your dog is too hot.
Yeah.
Maybe none of these factors have to do with you and you're like, whatever, it's fine. Let's go out anyway. Here are some of the signs to look out for if you think it's too hot for your dog.
Okay, so dogs don't actually sweat like humans do. They don't have as many sweat glands everywhere. Nice. But they do have sweat glands in their paws. So one of the ways that they do sweat or like emit heat is through their paws.
Release heat?
Whatever. Heat is also a good word. Yeah. It's through the paws.
Yep.
And also a big one, the main way that they release heat is through panting.
So
if your dog is excessively panting, that means they're probably too hot.
Yeah. So is that why a lot of dogs sleep upside down when it's hot? So their paws are up?
I mean,
I don't know. So I just thought, because Maple does that, but I think that is because she doesn't do it as much in the winter.
No, not as much.
Maybe.
In winter. Well, like the belly, everything's just kind of upside down, and I don't know, it's a taller thing as well.
Well, there's also other dogs that do that. See pictures. I don't know. Sorry, that was just, if anyone knows, or if your dog does that, let us know.
Yeah, anyway, exactly. But another way that you can tell that your dog just had too much heat, it's too hot, is when they just kind of lethargic, have low energy level, and they don't kind of want to do anything. They want to just sleep, kind of like humans, right? It's too hot. I just don't want to do anything. My brain's turned off. I want to sleep all day. Yeah. It's kind of the same vibe.
Yeah.
Also, this is what Maple does all the time. It's unwillingness to walk.
I was going to ask that, like if you were going to say that story. Yeah. or
So
whatever.
what Maple does usually when she just feels like it's a little bit too hot for her, or, I've had enough of sun, she will literally just lie down in someone's front yard in the shade and not move.
Yeah.
It's like,
and then
no.
you'll get her up and she'll move a little bit until she finds the next shade spot.
Yeah.
And then
And
lies
you know
down.
what? I'm fine with it. Like if she needs that time to just cool down, decompress, even though it's not that hot outside, but like she just needs her
She's a
moment.
princess,
Yeah.
okay?
I'll give her time to cool down.
Meanwhile, like if it's winter, we need to go find places to warm up and hide from the elements.
Yeah.
We're the opposite of Maple's like, let's go. So it's funny. Right?
They
It's
will
the
usually
opposite.
just lie down, like try to find shade,
Yeah.
lie down and just pant away and chill. That's usually how you know that your dog is a little bit too hot.
Yeah, not tired, just too hot.
Yeah.
I mean,
another obvious way that you can tell is obviously knowing what the body temperature is, but you can't really tell unless you're carrying a little device with you to see what's your temperature.
It's even hard to, because don't they do it
I mean, you can buy them off Amazon if you really are obsessed about knowing what your dog's temperature is.
There
You
are
can
other ways to figure this out. All of these other signs are good enough. I don't think you need a thermometer for your dog as when you're out for a walk.
Some dog parents might want to have it.
So actually, finish these things. I have a little story.
So these are like the main ways that you can tell that your dog is too hot. And obviously all of these ways, if they go unchecked, they can lead to heat exhaustion and heat stroke, which then could lead to your dog dying. So it's serious.
On that topic, and this is actually funny that we decided to record this episode today. Because literally today I read this story. Actually, this was in Banff, the mountains. Unfortunately, a dog passed away overnight camping. Like yesterday or the day before. In the last few days, we've had like a heat wave for like a week now, and it's still going. And they had to leave the dog, like kind of like cover it temporarily until they, I don't know, got back to do something. So I don't know where it is in the mountains, but they said like, unfortunately there could be like bear activity. But again, there's no factors, but some people were saying because it was too hot. There were a lot of comments I saw. Oh no, it was a thing on Instagram. That's what I saw. So some post or whatever on Instagram where it was like a news article, and people were commenting saying like, oh yeah, like the trail they went on or the backcountry hike they went on, like they're like, even for like humans, it's just so exposed to
There's
the
like
elements.
no shade or anything.
And even though it was nighttime, it's still, at least right now with this heat wave, it's still hot. But if they're out all day in the sun, they get that heat exhaustion.
Yeah.
And if they don't have a proper way to recover, cool down, drink enough cold water, because I imagine they don't have much. So it's funny that this, well, not funny. Sorry. It's just interesting that, I literally read about that today. And these things can happen. And you might think that, you know what, it's not that bad out, but they're exercising. If you're just going for a walk around the block like you do and it's too hot, not too hot, but like a little bit kind of getting there, you'll just go around the block and she'll stop and say. But if these people went for a backcountry hike where they probably hiked for 6, 8, 10 hours, and it was just sad, but that can happen. I don't know what kind of dog it was. I actually, as soon as we were talking about this, I remember that I actually literally read that today.
That's crazy.
So yeah, that's sad. Just a quick story that shows that it can happen.
Yeah.
And that's the point of this episode, is to kind of, make you aware.
It's a serious thing, right?
Yeah.
Like I had a heat stroke. I'm not sure if you ever had one.
I think so. Of course I have. Look at me. I go outside for an hour. I get heat strokes.
I had a heat stroke when I was on holiday in Greece.
Yeah.
And you just feel dizzy. You have like vertigo going on. And I was just throwing up all day. And it was all because of heat. I was so dehydrated. Yeah. And that can happen to your dog as well when they have that heat exhaustion. They can start vomiting.
They're having fun. They're hobbling along, panting and like loving life.
Yeah, and then suddenly things can turn around like that.
Anyway, to kind of get back on topic, to cheer us up, do we have any other kind of signs?
No, these are the main signs. Okay. So just watch out for excessive panting and low energy.
Yeah. And I think just a note, and I don't know how accurate this is. This is something I saw. If your dog, and this is not even when it's too hot, it's if you're like playing with them a lot. Even doesn't matter whether you're in their house or their house. It's their house. Inside or not, whatever. Is if they're panting so much, their tongue is like hanging out of the side of their mouth.
Yeah, then
Now,
that's
I've
like
heard
excessive panting.
that's like the sign of like, okay, we need to stop. Again, this is a lot of like, this happens a lot when people play or they're constantly playing fetch or whatever. If they're having so much fun that they're panting so much that their tongue is like hanging out the side of their mouth,
Yeah.
they're getting hot, they're getting tired, they need to cool down, give them a break. So that's a good sign.
You see that a lot in like larger breeds.
Well, yeah.
Like
Well,
I've seen
that's one of the factors.
a Saint Bernard like walking around with the tongue hanging out and stuff. And it's
I'm
like,
not saying
it's
this
a
is
huge
exact.
dog.
They might happen in 5
double
minutes.
coat. It's a mountain dog. It's used to, cold weather. And they're in this heat with the tongue hanging out to the side, right? Like, give it a break. Like, take it home. They've had enough. Okay.
Yeah, exactly. So that was just kind of like a sign. That's another sign, I guess.
Yeah.
And again, I don't know how accurate this is. This is just something I've read once, and it makes sense though.
Yeah.
Just based on like when we play with Maple and she's panting, and we keep playing, and then she's like really panting, and it's like, okay.
Yeah, because if you think about it, like, your dog just can't sometimes recognize that, it's time to stop.
Yeah,
like sometimes they will, and she will just kind of leave the playtime and decide that, I'm just going to lie down on tiles. Yeah. But sometimes they're having so much fun, you need to be that person that says, no, that's enough. Like, let's just cool down first, and then we can carry on.
All that. Anyway, so those are all interesting points, and these are just things to look out for. So to kind of carry on with that is, so say you think it's okay, or if it is really hot out, but you're not sure if it's too hot for your dog. We're going to talk specifically about how hot is too hot to walk your dog on pavement. So we're talking about sidewalks. Well, sidewalks, you wouldn't walk your dog on a road or a parking lot. That's just weird. So sidewalks, just any sort of pavement.
Like, concrete, right?
Asphalt, whatever it's called, depending on where you live, they call it just something different. So now so here's like a little test you could do. Again, this one's kind of like whatever, bro science up in the air, depending on who's doing it and all of that. But they say to place your hand on the pavement. And it was like, we were talking about that, and you're like, but like, what does that mean? Like 1 second, 5 seconds, 10 seconds?
Yeah, like all blogs say different things. So there's no actual time.
And the other thing is a lot of people will put their palm, again, if you're watching this, you can see my palm, but everyone knows what that is.
The front of your hand. Yeah,
like a palm down on the ground. It won't be as hot depending on you. If you're like a construction worker and your hands are all calloused up and blistered and all that, you won't feel as much.
Different.
Yeah. So again, someone who's a model, a hand model, for example, they probably wouldn't be touching the ground, but just saying their hands are probably a lot more sensitive than, say, a construction worker. So that's why they say the better way to do is put the back of your hand on the pavement. And again, like, don't just 1 second, but I think like 5 to 10 seconds, because although they're moving a lot, but every once in a while they'll stop to sniff. So think like, how long are they stopping for? Usually 5-10 seconds, things like that. And so that's just a test. Like, if you cannot put your palm, or even again, bare feet.
Yeah.
Or bare feet, unless you're like a wilderness man and you don't wear shoes. I knew a guy actually, like, hated socks and shoes, so he never wore them unless he was forced to. But if you're a normal person, you wear shoes most of the time.
Yeah.
It's the same thing. Walk out. If the ground, like when you go to the beach.
Yeah.
And the sand is like burning. So you like dig underneath to like get your foot under. It's the exact same thing.
Yeah.
Go walk on the pavement if it's too hot for your feet.
I do it. I've been doing this forever, ever since we had Maple, because I'm like so just worried that the ground's too hot. So I do it all the time. I just put my hand on the ground just to make sure that it's not too hot. Even the deck.
Well, yeah, and that's what I was going to say. Like, we have, a deck, and it's
like always make sure that the ground is not too hot.
So even just wood. So like quickly go out there too without, without your shoes on, without your socks on. Because if you're like, again, your feet are probably a little bit more sensitive than their paws, but use within reason. And that kind of like goes to the next point of like, is it uncomfortable like to leave your hand there or leave your foot there? Kind of thing. If you were like literally tiptoeing around because it's like hot sand on a beach. If it's like
scorching hot, like you use your common sense, right? Like their paws are durable, but it can hurt.
5 seconds might be enough for you, which means, cool, they can maybe last 10 to 15 seconds, but if they're standing, they're just not moving. That's the exact same thing as you being there for 5 seconds.
Yeah.
But yeah. And then it's like you said with the, sorry, go ahead. Or are you going to?
I was just going to say that like sometimes I try to get her to walk on grass instead.
Of course.
Of
Yeah. Now this is like pavement. And
so
sometimes.
I'm like, go on the grass.
Yeah.
Not
And
here.
sometimes she'll just walk on the pavement for whatever, 10 feet.
Yeah.
And then there's a lawn. Back on the pavement, then there's a lawn.
Yeah. So she gets that break from something that's a little bit on the hotter
and so
side.
then what you were mentioning other is like their paw pads. So yeah, again, their paw pads are a lot more durable than our feet or our hands potentially.
Yeah.
So yes, that they can take more, whether it's the impact or the heat or all that. But again, common sense within reason. If it is like, if you can't stand there for 5 or 10 seconds, don't think your dog can stand there for 20. You know what I mean? Like it's just use common sense. And then I think there was another thing that you were talking about. I don't know if we're going to mention it later, but was it about the, like if you wanted to put booties on? Is that are we going to talk about that later? Or was it just a?
Yeah, I'm going to talk about it in the safety tips.
Oh, safety, I guess. Oh yeah. So that's,
Coming next.
So those are kind of just some of the things of, I honestly think all of that's common sense, but then it's not. You see stupid people out there all the time.
I mean, you know, we manage now the group for the advice, and we see a lot of questions.
Yeah.
A lot of silly questions like, hey, how hot is too hot?
Yeah.
Or, hey, should I take my dog for a walk when, you know, the pavement's hot? And like, these things are not so obvious for everybody. So here we are.
Yeah.
But anyway, moving on to how to keep your dog safe during the hot weather.
Yeah.
So one of the obvious things is obviously to provide shade and water.
Yes.
So if you are going
Just
to go
like
outside,
a human.
if you are going to take your dog outside, you know, make sure that you walk in where there's shaded area. Don't purposely go on the side of the road where the sun's out, right? So I always make sure that, which side is more sunny? I will just go down to the shaded side, right? And obviously have water with you. That's also a good thing.
Yeah, of course.
Another thing that you should do is to limit their outdoor time. So don't take them out for 10, mile hike.
Yeah. Well, yeah. During a heat wave.
Yeah, during
Even if
a heat
you plan
wave.
that for a year and you paid all these fees, don't be stupid.
Yeah.
Who cares? There's
I mean,
always
that's a
another
difficult time, right? Because these people went on holiday to go camping with the family, and now they have a dog, and now they have to be responsible and say, no, someone has to stay with
or
the
the
dog.
dog stays.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So limit the time to maybe 10 to 20, 30 minutes at maximum, or maybe break it down, right?
Yeah.
So go out in smaller chunks throughout the day if that's something that's possible for you. Also, another thing that you can do is walk them during the coolest time of the day.
Yeah.
So either earlier on in the morning. Or later on in the evening.
Or as the sun's either rising.
Yeah.
And it still could be really hot. Like it's, but it's a lot better.
Yeah. Well, what annoys me the most is when people take their dog out during like midday, like 12.
I know. Do you know, like when we're driving somewhere and someone's out walking their dog and I'm like, what is wrong with them? I just want to like.
Oh, they go running with them.
I just want to like run the human over, not the dog. I just want to like. Not actually.
The dog doesn't have a choice.
Yeah.
They're probably having a great time and
because they're outside and they've been stuck inside all day.
They don't have the same intelligence to be like, no, like it's too hot, right? And some humans don't have that intelligence either, clearly. But yeah, just keep it, early in the day or later on in the evening. That's probably the best way. Another thing that you can do to be safe is to take your dog to doggy daycare or indoor dog park. If you really need to go out with your dog or provide some type of enrichment.
Or dog-friendly stores.
Or dog-friendly stores.
If you want to go for a walk for 30 minutes, go to a pet store.
Because there's aircon, right? Yeah. And your dog still gets
Well, that's what we do in the winter. I think that was one of the tips, actually, in the winter, was go to dog-friendly stores if it's too cold outside. Same thing.
Same thing. Yeah. It's a dangerous weather. Like, it's not a joke.
Yeah.
It's just too hot to be outside. So take your dog somewhere where there's air conditioning and they still can get that exercise.
Yeah.
another thing
There's lots of safety tips
that you can do for the safety of your dog is, well, this is the weird one. It's the shoes that you can get
yes.
and protective socks.
Yeah.
But in my personal opinion, if you are forced to buy booties or socks for your dog, it's to protect their paws. Yeah. It's just too hot to be out.
Exactly.
In the
There's
first
more
place.
than just their paws on the pavement. It's like we said. It's just the sun beating down on them. Yeah, you're right. It's like
if the pavement is too hot, it is too hot.
Yeah.
Just don't
it's
go
just
out.
too hot outside in general, to be honest.
Yeah.
Yes.
If you want to be completely safe, just don't go out. You don't need to go out with your dog every day. It's not necessary. You can do other things.
Yeah. Well, and if you think you need to go out with your dog every day, then you need
have
to
some
do
training to do.
You have some training to do. You as a human first, and then train your dog. Yeah.
Yeah. Just stay home and stay cool. Don't put your dog through torture because it's okay for you since you're wearing a little tank top and shorts, right? Your dog is wearing fur and their body temperature is a lot higher than yours. So they are definitely too hot.
Exactly. There's something I want to add in the whole safety aspect of dogs. And again, this should go without saying, and it should be common sense, but you hear stories all the time. Do not leave your dog in your car.
Oh, yeah.
I know there wasn't originally on our list, but this is just, we're more talking about going out with your dog and outside.
This seems like such a common sense thing.
I think there's a thing. It's like the inside of your car is usually, I think on average, 5 degrees hotter than the outside of your car.
Oh,
with no airflow.
Yeah.
So like, do not. And this
like
is why
oven,
people smash your windows and all that. If you got to run into a store really quickly or whatever, leave your car running, leave the air conditioning on, probably put a note so someone doesn't smash your window, because I've seen like funny things being like, AC is on, they're listening to their favorite Metallica song or whatever. Please don't break the glass. And the car is running kind of thing. And people are, oh, well, it's bad for the environment. Who cares? Your dog's safety is more important. But again, this is just if you're going to run in to grab something really quickly, or you're on a little road trip, or you got to like go to because I know when we go to fly ball tournaments, so we got to drive, and like this 2 weekend ago, whatever, week ago, it was so hot. But I was like, on the drive there, I was like, I got to stop to go to the bathroom. So I literally, just left the car running, locked it, ran inside, went to the bathroom and came out, and she was fine. And then also there's something I want to talk about, this really cool item to, that you can get, and we'll leave a link below.
I think it's the new point that we're going to talk about, like what else you can do to help your dog cool down.
Well, this is help to protect them more than cool down. So that's why it has to do with the car thing more than anything.
Go on then.
So there's this cool item out there. It's called an Illuminate. And it's this like metal, it's this like aluminum looking massive blanket mesh thing.
Yeah.
And people use it for their, actually, I actually heard last week they were originally designed and made for greenhouses.
Oh.
Yeah. Interesting. I know. I don't know. It's a random fact. But it's this thing that people get when they do, whether they're camping or they do dog sports, and they'll use it as like tents or to cover part of their car. And it's just this aluminum kind of mesh fabric kind of thing that just reflects the sunlight, but since there's a mesh, there's all these holes to allow the airflow to still go through.
It's pretty good.
And again, that same day that someone said it was used for greenhouses, again, this is just what someone told me. So it's like reading something on the internet. You don't know if it's true, but they say it makes your car about approximately 5 degrees cooler inside. So this is just a very interesting thing. Again, we'll leave a link below to just so you can check it out. But whether you're going to be outside camping, you're going to be at a dog sport event. If you're at a dog sport event, you've definitely seen them, to be perfectly honest.
Yeah, everyone has
Or like say you're doing something with your kids and you brought your dog with you, and they're like a baseball tournament or something with your kids, and your dog are there.
You can
having
literally
a picnic.
stick like a stick in the ground and just put this net over it and like create
just
a little
really cool thing.
tent out of it.
So and it folds up like a blanket. So it's not like having a tent. Tents are all good and all that too. But that was just a quick safety thing because we were talking about cars. For something to do. But anyway.
Well, like the best thing to do is to just never leave your dog in a car when it's super hot.
Yeah. Doesn't matter if
cold.
It's because you might run in there for 2 minutes, but then something happens and you're stuck in there for 20 minutes. whatever. And you might be like, oh, my dog's fine, but don't be stupid.
But they might not be fine. They might panic. Some dogs have anxiety, which gets them more hot, right? You just don't know what's going to happen.
So if your dog is too hot, here are some ways to cool them down. Because you're right.
Yes.
So one of them is just frozen dog treats, like a popsicle, doggy ice cream, ice cubes, or like whatever, freezing chicken broth as ice cubes. Some people say
ice cubes are not good. I've been giving my dog ice cubes.
Yeah,
forever.
I think it's fine.
She kind of just rolls them around with her tongue and like plays with them. She's never hurt herself with it. I mean, I'm not sure if there are any horror stories out there about ice cubes, but we also freeze vegetables. So like frozen carrots, frozen apples, frozen
that's
mango.
what we say, dog treats. We just, all of, pretty much if you buy fruit and you don't eat it all.
Frozen kongs, right?
Yeah, freeze it. Whatever you don't eat for fruit or vegetables, if it's about to go bad, literally throw in the green beans, broccoli. We give her these things all the time.
I just freeze it. Like I see that they're about to go like bad and we're not going to eat it.
You don't only have to give them when they're hot.
Yeah.
When it's a hot day, but that's kind of
like it's a good snack.
It's no different. Although people say if you're hot, you shouldn't be drinking a cold drink because that doesn't help. I don't know. There's that rumor that if you're really hot, drink a hot drink because then it's.
I mean, you can't give a dog a hot drink.
Well, yeah, exactly. It's just a thing that will just be nice. And they, like you said, they play around with it. They'll poke it with their nose and put their paw on it.
I mean, I don't know about you, but an ice cream cools me down.
I think in our brain it does.
You're right. Cools me down.
We drink our coffee in the morning when this heat wave and we're sweating.
And it makes me even more hot. Yeah. So like, I'm not sure about this science. I'm skeptical.
If you're watching this on YouTube, if you look at Magda's camera where the Woofy logo is, there's a fly that's sitting right there.
It's been flying around, driving me nuts.
And it's literally right there. That's so funny. Well, that's good because I didn't want to it hit me in the face, but luckily the camera was at you. The camera was at you and it ran right to my forehead.
I thought it was on my head because you kept looking at me. Like, what's on my head?
I was listening. So that's really funny. Off topic. See, this is why you need to be watching our podcast, not just listening to it. Anyway, so moving on to another way you can help your dog cool down. There's kind of a few options under this kind of umbrella, but kind of a cool place for them to lie down and rest. So whether it's a cold floor, tile floor, bathroom, things like that, maybe in front of a fan, maybe they're lying on a cool, wet towel or a cooling mat or those cooling beds or chilled cooling mats that you can get.
I mean, we've never really invested in a cooling pad, they're called, I think, but they sound pretty good. Apparently, they've got this cooling gel inside of them, so when a dog sits on it, it kind of just absorbs the heat from them. And dogs love it.
Yeah, I know. You always see pictures and stuff. We'll link some of them below just to get if you don't know what they are, or maybe you want to check them out yourself. We'll have a link below. Same with fans. Now we're talking about fans now inside. It's the same with crates. We actually just recently got just a little USB power. Well, not a US. It's not little. It's a.
Well, it's a little
electric fan. It's about. If you're not watching, I don't know. How many?
10 inches.
10 inches. I don't know. And you charge it up, and it's supposed to last 8 hours, something like that.
You can hang it on a crate. So
that kind of stuff.
If you're doing dog sports and things, you probably have seen them around. Yeah. People do often hang them on a crate.
Yeah.
And
there's some pretty heavy duty ones. There's the construction style, like DeWalt or Milwaukee. And then there's also really, really fancy ones that hook right up to crates. They remind me of computer fans you would see in a PC computer.
Yeah.
So again, we'll link some below. Crate fans are great, especially if you're outside with your dog. Same thing, a fan inside your house or air conditioning, things like that. Actually, do you remember the picture when Maple was in daycare and there was a picture she was literally lying right in front of the air conditioning?
Oh yeah. Yeah. She loves it.
Oh yeah. So these are great ideas. If you don't have AC, then getting a fan might help, and your dog will lie. So those are just some ideas to help cool them down if you went for a little walk and they came back. Maybe get them to go into your basement or get them in front of that fan.
Yeah, or even putting ice cubes underneath the towel or, on the bed or something.
Yeah, that's a good idea, actually.
Yeah.
That's another idea. And then on the topic of ice cubes is, one, always make sure they have water. Make sure they always have water in their bowl. And just a cool little tip, hack idea is put ice cubes in their water.
Yeah.
Whether you do it just...
I do all the time. Like throughout the day, I just like drop a little ice cube in, and because it's a metal bowl as well, it kind of just keeps it nice and cool for her. Sometimes she plays around with it, but not often.
Yeah. And so just make sure it keeps cool, because, you know, water sitting in a bowl all day on a hot day when your house is really warm, the water's room temperature, not very nice. So whether you refill it up with cold water from the tap, or like you said, just pop a couple ice cubes throughout the day. Great idea. And then the last one is having like a little doggy pool, and when it's more of a kiddie pool technically. I think that's what they're supposed to be for.
There's so many fancy pools that you can get nowadays for dogs. There's actually like dog specific pools as well. Which look kind of like, they're not inflatable. They're kind of like made out of some type of material.
Oh, yeah.
Have you seen them?
So, and you know, it's funny actually you said that. I was talking about that pool with somebody, and they say the problem with those is the dogs will collapse them in.
Oh,
so they'll go to
it does seem like it's collapsible.
It's like very flimsy. So they'll go to like, depending on the dog, or jump over, and they'll just push it down, and then all the water comes out. So they actually might not be that practical.
It might be a marketing fad.
Depending on the type of dog you have, of course. So but there's lots of little plastic pools here and there.
Yeah. But like you can say like things like that about just a standard pool,
true.
Right? Like,
and it's just more of like, they don't have to go swimming.
Poke a hole in it, and
they don't have to go swimming. It's just for them to like put their feet in and cool down.
Or sometimes they'll
like
lie down in it, right?
Yeah. So, and then with the whole sprinkler thing, or like hosing them down, this is just something I heard. I don't know how true this is, but apparently if your dog is really, really hot and getting them wet.
Yeah.
And on a hot day and they're still in the sun, that water heats up, and like, I'm going to use the word boiled very loosely.
Yeah.
But the water will heat up while it's on the dog's fur, and they might feel warm. Now, this is something I read. I don't know how true it is. I think it depends on the dog breed. Like, you know, a double coated, I think, we were
if
talking
a
about the
dog
other
is
day.
made for water, like, I'm not sure how true that is.
I think
I'm not
so.
sure.
But maybe a dog that's not.
Because
maybe
water
like
on Maple, like literally it just sits kind of on top, and then she shakes.
Yeah.
And she's dry.
But I think like spraying them just on the back or on their head, and that's where the sun hits. Yeah. That's why I think the pool is a good idea, because they're just like putting their paws in it, or they're lying down in it.
Yeah.
You know, so it's like away from the sun. I don't know. I don't know if that's true. If you've heard that before, let us know. If you think it's stupid.
Maybe like on a head, like if people put water on a head.
Thinking it cools them down, and then maybe the water, and like it heats
up. The sun
up.
just kind of hits You're right.
Okay.
Water actually does attract sun rays.
Sunlight or sun heat, whatever.
Because when you go on a beach and you stood where the water is, you're going to catch the sun easier, right? You're going to burn.
Well, I think it's also because the sun reflects off the water.
Yeah.
That's what it is. So it doesn't reflect off your
But do you know what I mean? Yeah. Like it reflects off, and then you tan quicker. This is why people stand by the sea or in the sea to like get sunshine.
Now, human skin obviously acts different than dog's hair and fur, but that's just a thing. I'm just saying, like, don't be spraying your dog just in the face.
There could be something in it, you know. I'm pretty skeptical about his fury, but like there could be something in it.
Yeah, that's what this is about. We just talk about things we hear, and we could be right, we could be wrong. I don't care. It was just an interesting thing. Part of it makes sense, part of it doesn't. I don't know.
I need to read science behind us.
Yeah, about water and dog sunlight fur. And I don't know.
I don't know, but like if you put water on a fur coat,
but you don't feel the fur coat because it's not the same.
I know
it's not the same. It's like
how does that dry? I don't know.
Oh well, this is another. Well, we'll look it up. We'll have another like midnight conversation like we usually do about random stuff, where we should have the cameras recording just about weird things we read about, but whatever.
Watering dogs.
Yeah.
Whether it's a good idea.
Water. There you go. I think that's a safe thing to say. Don't water your dog.
Don't water. It's not a plant.
Yeah, it's not a It's so funny. It's so funny. So,
your dog is not a plant. Please don't water it.
So I think that's it. That's it on the topic of, hot weather and dogs. We kind of talked about how hot is too hot, kind of some factors that take place, some safety things, and some ways to cool them down. Very important to know. It's hot everywhere, unless you live in Antarctica.
I know we keep this podcast pretty lighthearted, but it's actually pretty serious thing for people to know.
Yeah.
Not to do.
Of course.
Don't take your dog out when it's sunbeaming outside, when it's too hot. Don't lock your dog in a car.
Yeah.
Don't walk them on a hot pavement. Like, these are pretty serious and important things. Even though we are laughing about it and like having fun, like it could, like, you hear this every single day that dog dies because of negligence of a human. So
Mother Nature will always win. That's it.
It's out to get you.
Yeah. So, thanks everyone for listening to this. Oh, I just also want to remind, we talked briefly about the Facebook group that we have. It's Dog Behavior and Training Group. So, if you're a new dog owner, you have questions, or you're a professional and you can answer questions, we'll have it linked below to join the group. It's, we've
got like 221 nearly thousand members
there are
in the
hundreds
group.
of posts a day. It's hard to keep up with, but lots of interesting questions. There might be questions that you have that somebody else answered. So be sure to check that out. Join it. That would be awesome. You'll see us in there too, giving the wisdom when we can.
Yeah, not always. Just things we know about.
Of course. But if you're watching this on YouTube, don't forget to subscribe, like the video, comment below with whether you agree or disagree or any of this helped you out. If you're just listening to this, make sure you follow us on whatever platform you are. Rate as well. It helps us. Rate it helps. Please rate us.
Yeah, rating's always good.
It helps spread the word. And then share. Share this. If you know some idiot that is out taking their dog when it's too hot out, and you share this episode with them.
Yeah. I mean, because, they could take the dog out once or twice when it's super hot and they thought, it's okay. My dog's fine. It doesn't seem to bother them. But you don't actually know that.
Just like the story we had about the hikers and camping.
Your dog could pass out from nowhere, and it's all your fault.
Exactly. Nobody wants that. Yeah. Dogs are everything for us. So that's it. Thanks for watching. Thanks for listening, everyone. And we'll see you in the next one.
Bye for now.